Hey guys, Jeff here, and before we get to today's episode, I wanted to let you know about our Season 4 sponsor, Adventure is Out There Travel. If you're listening to this podcast, there's a pretty good chance that you're in the middle of planning your next Disney vacation right now. So why not make it easier for yourself? By working with an Adventure is Out There travel agent, you'll be having an experienced vacation planner doing the heavy lifting for you. Adventure is Out There Travel specializes in making sure your entire group gets to experience the type of activities they want in order to make your trip even more magical. Whether heading to a Walt Disney World vacation in Orlando, flying west to Disneyland, or floating on the high seas in a Disney cruise, Adventure is Out There Travel can help you plan the vacation of a lifetime. Visit adventureisoutthere.travel.com for your free, no-obligation quote today. Now on with the show.
Get ready for your weekly dose of pixie dust with Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePaoli.
And I'm Aaron Fairbanks.
And Aaron Fairbanks.
What's up, Jeff?
Welcome to a full show here. Guys, we have a Disney dialogue for you.
Right?
We have a trip report for you.
Yeah.
But before we get to any of that, I have to give a huge shout out and thank you. I'm going to butcher this name. I'm so sorry about that. I believe it's pronounced Jigao Wu. Jigao Wu is an architect student up in San Francisco.
Wow.
Who, either for fun or a class project, I'm not sure which, made the entire set of Newsies the Musical. He has a YouTube video of it. You can find the YouTube video. The username is Jigao Willie Wu. So first name Jigao space Willie, W-I-L-L-I-E, space last name Wu, W-U. Highly suggest checking this out. It's crazy.
Is this a miniature?
A miniature model.
Oh my gosh.
Full set with projection. And I get a lovely email from Jigao who says, hey, I don't have space for these models anymore.
You're kidding.
I would like to send you the windows from the King of New York number.
Oh my gosh.
So, hold this for a second.
No, you don't have it, do you?
Yes, I do.
Oh!
So, I know those of you listening, this isn't nearly as exciting, but for those of you watching, first of all, I suggest all of you go and check out Jigao Willie Wu's YouTube channel.
Oh my gosh!
Because here are, and they light up. So I have all
my gosh.
5 windows from the King of New York sequence, which, I mean, first of all, awesome that you made these. Second of all, so sweet of you to email me and offer them to me. I mean, there's a lot of time, effort, and detail put into these.
No kidding.
And on top of that, the cost. He sent them to me. This is the only set that exists.
That's how big of a fan you are, Jeff, is that, like, somebody thought of you first.
Listen,
to send you Newsies stuff.
Jigao, if you would like to recreate a miniature of the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movie set adventure, I will make space in my home for it. But
Jeff already has one set up in his room.
I wish. But here's the best part.
Yeah.
In the email,
Yeah.
he writes at the bottom, very nice letter, thank you for watching and listening to the show. First of all, you're very, very happy that you enjoy it. But at the end, he goes, if you would like to display these, please hang them in order. And he has a diagram. Let me grab it. Hold on a second.
Oh my gosh.
Here's the letter. Yeah, so the last line says,
Oh my gosh, this is extensive.
yeah, if you want to display them, please put them in the right order as shown below. And then here's the diagram of, yeah.
This is great. I like how he is truly an architecture student, that he put, like, the front and the reverse that has the light switch and the battery.
This says, like, full-on drafting.
This is
here.
crazy.
Like, it's crazy. Crazy. So,
wow.
First of all,
This is fan-made. That's awesome.
I love it on so many levels. Thank you is all I have to say.
So
I know. Here's the thing.
Are these going to go back here?
I do want to put them behind me on the Disney Coast to Coast set.
Yeah.
The problem is, I feel like I have space for one, and I don't really want to separate them.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether or not I'll have a place to put them. There's a lot of Disney stuff behind me, as you can see, people watching. So I don't know if they'll end up behind me. So I wanted to make sure I showed them and gave a proper thank you before
that's awesome.
that. So thank you so much, Jigao. And before we move on again, we have to talk about our last episode.
Why?
Because
Did we get something wrong?
We didn't get something wrong.
Oh, okay.
But If you remember, I got very excited about something on the last episode.
I know what this is.
Do you recall what I got so excited about?
Yeah, we're going to put gunpowder and booze and drink it.
Okay, not quite. But if you remember last episode that Aaron and I did together was about the connections between Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Tom Sawyer Island. And one of the items that Disney was going to create was a soda with Pop Rocks inside, which would emulate the Chinese pirates version of alcohol with a gunpowder that they would put in it.
Yeah.
So I have some soda, which, first of all, just for the record, I do not drink soda. I haven't had soda. Oh, I love soda. I just don't drink it. Haven't, unless it's butterbeer. That is like the one.
That's not really soda, though.
It kind of is. Yeah. But that's the one time I'll be like, you can have it, because it's too brilliant not to. I haven't had soda in over a year. And for the name of research for Disney Coast to Coast, we're about to have soda and Pop Rocks to see how, because to me it just sounds great. And as you know, there's the urban myth that we will die. So if this is still...
This episode might be very short.
Listen, don't try this at home. But can you hold this for me, please?
Yes.
Let me turn around.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's Pepsi.
Okay,
Jeff, this is not the official soda of Walt Disney World.
I was actually thinking that, but it is the official soda of what Jeff DePaoli drinks. If he was going to drink soda, he was a Pepsi drinker. So, would you like Pop Rocks Crackling Cherry Original or Strawberry?
Ooh, I'm going to go with Crackling Cherry Original.
Okay, here you can hear the Pop Rocks. And here we go. This is
100% gunpowder right here.
No, here we go.
Well, you do that first?
Yeah.
What do you think, Pop Rocks first,
you're
then
probably
the soda?
right. Here, dump some Pop Rocks in.
All right.
This is very interesting for the people listening, but go ahead, rip that open.
We're going to be burping all episode
Please
long.
don't. No. Don't down it. We're just trying it. It's fine. Literally haven't had soda in so long.
You're going to be jacked up.
Probably. It's cool. Let's do this.
All right.
Aaron is slowly opening his Pop Rocks. I'm going to wait for him to do the same time. Actually, you know what? If there's enough, we'll just share the same. Is that
okay? Yeah, let's do that. This way it's like cherry Pepsi too, you know?
I've never had that.
Oh, cherry Pepsi's great.
Okay, so the Pop Rocks is in there.
We got an even amount.
Okay.
I don't want you getting more Pop Rocks.
I think we're pretty good. Are we good?
Yeah, we're
Here,
good.
dump the whole thing. Is it empty?
Right.
Do it. Okay.
All right.
Here we go. And, oh, geez. Listen to that. You can listen to the Pop Rocks crackle with the soda.
Oh, that's terrifying.
So, it's super fizzy.
Yeah.
I wonder if the... okay, are we just going to swig this, or... It's like, sounds like Rice Krispie treats. Here we go. Are you ready?
Yeah. Are we down in it?
Yeah, let's just chug it.
Shots? Okay.
In 3, 2, 1.
That's good.
Ooh, the sensation. You can hear the Pop Rocks in our throats. Literally, my throat is just popping. Nothing, to be 1,000% honest, disappointing.
Really?
Yeah, I mean...
That's good.
I thought it's delicious because it's sugar added on top of sugar.
It's novelty, Jeff.
Yeah, it's a total novelty thing.
Novelty.
Okay, well...
Right.
Whatever, we did it. Now you don't need to.
Should we put these away?
No, you can put them right there.
It's just going to be like popping.
It's fine. But our stomachs hopefully won't explode in the middle of the episode.
Ooh, that would be entertaining, though.
So in any case, guys, we've had some fun so far today. But let's get to one of the topics we're getting to today, and that is Beastly Kingdom. And that is today's Disney dialogue. So let's just get to that right now.
Get ready to dig deep in today's Disney dialogue.
So if you don't know, Beastly Kingdom is the actual land that was supposed to exist before Pandora, the world of Avatar, at Disney's Animal Kingdom, and it never really came to fruition. There are remnants of it that have happened, but let's start at the beginning. First of all, when Disney's Animal Kingdom opened in 1998, it was described as a kingdom of animals, real, ancient, and imagined. A kingdom ruled by lions, dinosaurs, and dragons. So this was always part of the intention of Disney's Animal Kingdom. And although there were like slight references to it, it never really got there fully because of budget cuts and all of that stuff. But as I said, you can find it in the park. So where are some of the places we can still or more recently have found it?
So in the parking lot, there is a unicorn parking area.
Yeah.
There is, when you walk up to the park, on the sign, there's literally a dragon front and center.
Yeah, right above one of the ticket booths. Oh, you mean the logo?
No. I mean the logo of the park.
That's what gets me.
Front
the
and
logo.
Center. Jeff, I've got some feelings about this.
Oh, okay. I want to hear it.
No, I just mean like the fact that they have left so many references and then they never followed through.
Do you think it's still coming?
I don't think so.
It's not.
No.
We'll get to that.
Okay, so after you get past the sign, there is the left ticket booth has a dragon head. And then inside, once you get inside, there was a... I don't know if you can... They don't still run the fire, but on the Discovery...
The Discovery River Cruise.
The Discovery River Cruise,
which I went on last...
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I went to Disney's Animal Kingdom during its opening year, and it... I realized, like, so many of the Disney parks that opened during my lifetime, I've been to in the opening year. And, like, even as a kid, I don't... Like, my parents aren't necessarily big Disney fans, but I always ended up there during the opening year, which is weird. But in any case...
and that only lasted 2 years.
Less than 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
And it was basically a slow boat ride around the waters of Disney's Animal Kingdom, and I do vividly remember this, a fire-breathing cave, essentially.
Yeah.
So the idea behind it was there was this cave that you ride by on the boat, and fire came breathing out of it, and the story is, a dragon lives in there. I do remember that, but that's about as far as we got with dragons at Disney's Animal Kingdom.
There's also a waterfall, or they ended up turning it off, but it's a stone formation that kind of that's supposed to invoke the idea of a dragon.
Yeah, so it is kind of funny that some of that still exists. Even funnier is like the marketing that went into this that was in place before they decided that this wasn't going to happen.
There was a McDonald's Happy Meal toy that was a dragon, okay?
Yeah, I love that. But what it really came down to was budgeting, because of the fact that the animals at Disney's Animal Kingdom needed a lot more money than they originally budgeted.
All those habitats, and I wonder if part of that too is them trying to keep their word as far as like making this like a state of the art animal reservation, and
my guess is they probably had somebody breathing down their necks very heavily as well. I'm sure it was their desire to make it a great place for the animals, but at the same time, when you're ever dealing with living animals, I'm sure they had some serious eyes on them, and so they're like, okay, if there's one place we can't skimp, it's on taking care of these animals.
And I've always admired the fact, because I love going to zoos, but I've always admired the fact
it is not the zoo.
Yeah, how good exactly? It's not a zoo. They do such a great job with their habitats, and if that's what we gave up Beastly Kingdom for, then.
Is that really... Is taking care of the animals really worth giving up Beastly Kingdom? You let us know in the comments below. Let's start a controversy here. But the thing that I find interesting is the fact that when they realized this whole budget issue, they said, okay, well, we have two choices. Dinoland USA or Beastly Kingdom. And...
they went for synergy, folks.
They went for synergy, that's right, because...
Dinosaur was in the works.
Right, that's right.
Do you remember Dinosaur?
I do remember it. I need to go back and watch it.
Me too.
This was the first, I believe it was the first CG animated film from Walt Disney Animation, not Pixar.
It was. And it was a big deal because they
shot it live action.
It was all shot, it was all live action locations, and like it's terrible CG. This is like...
But let's just have a moment here and... realize that means there is more live action in Dinosaur than there is in the Jungle Cruise.
Wait, the Jungle Book.
I'm sorry, the Jungle Book.
I was like,
the Jungle Book movie.
There's a lot of CG in the Jungle Cruise.
No. There is more live action in Dinosaur, the animated movie.
That's true.
Than the Jungle Book live action movie. That's hilarious. I do want to go back and see Dinosaur, though.
Well, you know what's it's interesting too is the movie originally was going to be there was going to be no dialogue.
Oh, really?
It was supposed to be kind of like an accurate retelling of like this time in dinosaur history. And of course, I'm sure it was like, this is a Disney movie, like we have to put a plot in there, and like
Yeah.
Some like hijinks for the kids, and
Some hijinks.
It's not a memorable movie, but
I need to see it again. The thing that weirds me out is, though, if they knew that they were making a movie called Dinosaur, perhaps the name of the movie changed.
Right.
But part of the opening day of the park was an attraction we know as Dinosaur today. It was actually called Countdown to Extinction, which I remember riding.
Right.
And they have, what kind of dinosaur is he? I forget. Is it an apatosaur? I think I'm
it
totally
might be
wrong.
an apatosaur. Yeah.
No, I think I made that up.
No?
I don't think so.
Allosaur?
That might be closer. Something sore.
Albacore?
But I remember a Triceratops being out in front of the ride where the statue of the star dinosaur from the movie Dinosaur is now.
Well, and he used to be an animatronic on the Disney
part of the
River Cruise.
Now that I don't remember, interestingly enough.
Well, apparently, I think he lasted like even...
I think he may have come a bit later because Dinosaur I don't think opened until 2000. I think was the year that it came out, whereas the park opened in 98. So that might have come a bit later. I'm not sure. I do think it's interesting though that like they decided to continue with Dinoland USA because they had a movie out called Dinosaur, yet they still called the attraction Countdown to Extinction. I always found that strange. But in any case, that's what it was. And because of Dinoland USA, we did not get Beastly Kingdom. But that does not mean they weren't going to do it. It was going to become phase 2 of the Animal Kingdom, which often happens. It's a pretty normal thing.
Well, look at Shanghai. I mean, they had expansion just waiting right out the gate.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? Because I get it from a business level that, like, I mean, even Disney's Hollywood Studios, I think about that especially because there was so little on opening day. And I get that a lot of times you're beating a clock or a budget or something. You're like, we got to open and make some money before we can continue working. So I understand it. But I'm always like, oh, you're opening an incomplete thing.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy.
I think it's a little tasteless, but
at the same time, the parks will never be completed, right? I don't know. I feel like sometimes they're opened before phase 1 is really completed.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and even in the Shanghai case, it's like, okay, you know you're building this other stuff, yet you're like, we got to open and make some money. Like I said.
Well, that was kind of the case with Hollywood Studios when they first opened,
Disney's
right?
Hollywood Studios, the reason that they really pushed it was to beat Universal Studios Florida.
So that was kind of a similar, like, they knew they were going to expand it.
Yeah, oh, for sure, yeah.
And they just kind of like, oh, we have to get this open.
At least that was like I don't know. To me, money's a bad reason to stop, but that's why if I ran the studio, they'd be absolutely bankrupt because I'm like, yeah, throw
greenlight it.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids restaurant, done. All that they serve is Cheerios with little children inside. Done. Oh, that's a good idea.
No, they serve you a Cheerio that's like to scale.
A giant Cheerio?
Yeah, it's to scale.
All right.
Yeah.
I can dig that. If it's a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids themed restaurant, I'm up for it. I don't care. It's all good. But in any case, now that we've gone completely off on a tangent, so what did take the place of where Beastly Kingdom was supposed to go?
Camp Mini Mickey.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Yeah, just Camp Mini Mickey. For those of you listening, the second Mickey was not my voice. Just putting that out there in the world.
I like that you had to clarify because people will probably be like, "Wow, Jeff said oh boy really fast twice."
He did sure. That's why I said it. Camp Mini Mickey. Now, here's the funny thing. There were remnants of Beastly Kingdom in Camp Mini Mickey.
Yeah.
There was a dragon-shaped water fountain.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that was like, because I don't think they ever really started construction on Beastly Kingdom. So I guess it was kind of done as like a, hey, something's coming. Kind of like we got going on right now with Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. There's so many like
that seal
clues.
The Avengers seal is like a big deal
of what's coming next. So I don't know if that dragon-shaped fountain inside of Camp Mini Mickey was...
Because it was totally a temporary setup. It was like a couple huts and...
Yeah, if you're not familiar with Camp Mini Mickey, it was basically huts, as you said.
Yeah, the stages
for meet and greets. But there are still remnants of Camp Mini Mickey today, even though it's closed.
Really?
Yeah, and that is Festival of the Lion King.
Oh, yeah.
Which is one of the most popular shows at Disney's Animal Kingdom, which... I don't understand the popularity of this.
You know what I didn't realize? I didn't realize the main floats were just reused parade floats.
Camp Mini Mickey was done so on the cheap that the 4 centerpieces you're talking about were from the Disneyland Lion King parade, which I saw as a kid and loved. That's actually one of the best parades to this day. But yeah, I remember seeing Festival of the Lion King and being like, wait a sec, didn't I see these at Disneyland? And sure enough, it's the same exact floats. But like that just even emphasizes more how cheaply done Camp Mini Mickey was, because they had to. They ran out of money. But I think it's fantastic, even though it's not my thing. Yeah. It's fantastic that it's still so popular to this day. Are you a big Festival of the Lion King fan?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I've only seen it once, but it was really good. I only saw it once they moved into their permanent theater. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was so popular that when they said, okay, we're going to close Camp Mini Mickey for Pandora, we have to say Festival of the Lion King. So I just think that's so funny. Like, people really, really love that show. And I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate comments for the fact that I don't love it so much.
It's entertaining.
Yeah, I don't dislike it by any means. But frankly, if I'm going to be in Disney's Animal Kingdom and I have time for one show, you bet your bottom dollar it's going to be Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo, like, of course.
But some people would choose Festival of the Lion King.
Well, you know what's interesting too is that it's one of the, before Finding Nemo opened, it was one of the few places you can go inside and like be indoors for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, dinosaurs inside, but as far as like taking some time off.
Yeah.
Like Festival of the Lion King, that's the best reason to go to Festival of the Lion King.
Did you know that actually, was that indoors always? Was it an indoor building?
I don't know. I don't know if it was.
I'm not sure.
Indoor.
Did you know that the Finding Nemo theater actually was an open theater originally? Like, there weren't walls and air conditioning in it. It was like, a Mickey and the Magical Map type of space.
Was it?
Originally when the park opened, I believe it was a Jungle Book stage show.
Oh, really?
And then it became Tarzan Rocks, which ran for a while. And then when Finding Nemo the musical came in, it's a much bigger production scale, and they built walls around it and made a legitimate theater.
Yeah.
But that was not always the way it is today. Now, one of the things that I found interesting as to what happened to Pandora versus what was supposed to happen with Beastly Kingdom is this bridge. This bridge concept going from Discovery Island to this land was always part of the plan.
Always existed.
Yeah, so originally for Beastly Kingdom it was going to be guarded by a troll, but of course now...
I can only imagine what that would have been. Do you think it would have been a face character?
I have no idea, but probably not. My guess is it could have even just been like a stone troll that was like, with a welcome
makes sense.
sign. Yeah.
Oh, welcome. No, it would have been go away.
Go away sign then. Yeah. But the bridge today, there's a lot of story behind the bridge that leads into Pandora.
Wow.
It's basically the company. What's the name of the company?
Ace?
Sure.
I think it was actually, the story is that it was originally built by the RDA, which was like
there we go.
That was like the militant group in the film. And now that's why it's kind of like overgrown and rusted, and it's been there for a while.
Yeah, so I just love the fact that like this little piece idea of like leaving the park over a bridge and going to this other place is still intact.
If we're being honest, there's quite a few concepts that have been kind of recycled into Pandora. I mean, just looking at the attractions that are in Pandora.
Well, let's get to the attractions in Beastly Kingdom that were supposed to be. When you head in, there were 2 paths. If you go to the left, you're going evil.
Evil.
If you're going right, you're going good.
Yeah.
So to the left, what was going on there?
So it was. It sounded really violent. Actually, there was going to be pieces of armor laying about, and like lances and swords and burn marks, and you came into this opening that was kind of like a medieval village with a crumbling castle, a crumbling tower that had smoke coming out of it, and so there was like the village, and there was like a Loch Ness landing that was going to be like a restaurant, eating area, but the big castle was their big e-ticket attraction, and this would have been the first e-ticket attraction at Animal Kingdom, and that was the
Dragon's Tower.
The Dragon's Tower, yeah.
It was going to be like a dark ride roller coaster hybrid, which when I hear that, my first initial thought of dark ride roller coaster hybrid, the first one I remember experiencing that way. Do you have any in your mind that pop in mind? For me, it's always been the Mummy roller coaster at the Universal Studios parks, which starts like a dark ride and then launches you into a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's great.
And I remember experiencing that for the first time and being like, "Oh, this is such a cool concept," because usually it's one or the other. I love this. Now that opened in 2004, the Mummy roller coaster at Universal Florida, which was the first one. I don't know when this would have happened for Beasley Kingdom. Like, what if it had happened? What year it would have been? So I don't know if it was would have been too much of a copycat situation if they did do it. I don't know. There was really no timeline for Beasley Kingdom other than it's off the board right now. But yeah, I think that's interesting. Like you said, first e-ticket attraction in the park. And that was the big thing over on the dark side. And
the dark side.
Yes, before Star Wars Land existed. And then over to the right, the light side, we had more like Greek temples and a couple of attractions there.
Yeah, so there was the Fantasia boat ride, which to me, they wanted to base it off of it was
the Dance of the Hours.
Dance of the Hours, and most people are familiar with that because it's got the hippo and the alligator dancing and a lot of the animated like animals dancing. But I feel like that doesn't really fit mythology.
Well, they have the
there's a lot of like there's Pegasus and centaurs, and
it does fit the mythic creatures thing when you bring in those characters. But for me, I felt like it was a little out of place.
Absolutely.
For a land that was very original idea, and to just have a Fantasia attraction there, I thought was weird. Now, they needed a family ride. This was very much like it's a small world type of attraction where an entire family can ride it together and enjoy it. But I don't know, this was the one thing where I was like, I don't know if I like this idea so much.
Especially, did you see the concept that had Sorcerer Mickey inside of it?
Yeah.
I was like, that's not even part of that sequence. And second, it's like, where does he fit into this world?
Yeah, it was definitely a bit out of place in mine, but at the same time, I'm sure some of the higher-ups were like, hey, we need something recognizable in this land, and I don't think that's necessarily the best choice, but you know what? They didn't do it, so I guess they made the right choice. I don't know. But yeah, now the thing that's really interesting is that's kind of the secondary ride that's in this good side.
Right.
And the first, or the more e-ticket attraction, but this is weird because it's a walkthrough. And this was a hedge maze called Quest for the Unicorn. And this was like an interactive walkthrough where you had 5 different tasks you had to complete.
Yeah. And it sounds really cool. It sounds extremely complicated and maybe not the most I guess like time
crowd
sensitive.
Friendly and
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like for somebody who's at the park for the day.
Yeah.
But just the idea, like this is really ahead of its time as far as putting in that kind of like interactive experience where you're really kind of like choosing your own adventure and at the end you kind of get a reward. Like I feel like Disney could never do that kind of attraction where it's like, well, you didn't complete the test, so you don't get to see the unicorn at the end.
Yeah, of course everybody is gonna be able to figure it out.
Everybody's a winner. Come on.
But as you mentioned, you do get to see the unicorn at the end, and I've heard it described similar to if you've been to Disneyland Paris. Inside the castle or underneath the castle, you get to visit the dragon's lair.
Yeah.
And so it was going to be something like that with a unicorn and very beautiful, and I'm sure full of special effects and everything. But I do think it's interesting for like the good side e-ticket attraction is a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's really not an e-ticket, regardless of how cool the effects are. So I guess the land, in my opinion, really only had one e-ticket. And that would be the Dragon Coaster.
I think just the fact that while it's a really cool concept, and I know both of us really love original themed lands, just the very fact that there is this kind of like, as soon as you enter the land, you're split.
Yeah.
That seems very, like, so many lands are unified. They have this kind of overarching theme.
It was kind of 2 lands.
Yeah, exactly. It had sub-lands.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's already kind of like, okay, you're like pushing you're pushing the concept a little too far.
Yeah.
And then even with the good side, it's like, well, there's Greek temples, but there's so many ways that good is portrayed in mythology that
Now, which side do you think would be more crowded?
Of course, the dark side.
The dark side, yeah.
I think, and that would obviously present a problem because you're going to have your major crowd in the dark side, and then you're going to have like low attendance. I don't even know if they had any plans for like food and beverage over in the good side.
I didn't see any, but I'm sure there would have had to have been something.
At the very least, because the only one I read about was the Loch Ness landing, and that was in the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
At the very least, like put your major food and beverage over in the good side, and like try to balance it out a little bit more. But
yeah, good point. Now, as we mentioned, none of this came to fruition. So the only real e-ticket that we have at Disney's Animal Kingdom is as well as Mythical Creature. So they did keep the Mythical Creature promise, even though it's not dragons like they have everywhere. But we get the Yeti, Disco Yeti,
Disco Yeti
over at Expedition Everest. Now, it's fair to say that if Beastly Kingdom had happened, we probably wouldn't have an Expedition Everest.
That's true.
So, I mean, I love Expedition Everest. Of course, it's not the same as having a whole new land, but it's a great attraction. And
it's kind of similar, just with a different monster. I mean, just as far as you're going into the lair of this monster, and there's a little bit of like, there's storytelling going on. There's a little bit of the dark ride experience,
but just think, we could have had Disco Dragon.
Disco Dragon. Well, and the thing that blows, like they have a problem with that animatronic because it's so big.
Yeah,
like
it's not that it's so big; it's that they can't get to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's put in a place that like they literally have to rip the top off the mountain to get to it. So have you not heard about this?
No.
They now have, when they were doing Pandora, they had what they called Yeti meetings. Have you not heard of this?
No.
Okay, so a Yeti meeting is when they said, okay, we have an animatronic that is a centerpiece of this attraction. And because it's a centerpiece, we need to be able to fix this whenever we need to. Right. So they learned their lesson with the Disco Yeti, because that is a centerpiece animatronic that they cannot get to fix.
Interesting.
And that's a big problem. So they've actually, the shaman Navi, the singing one that everybody loves in the boat ride, is on a platform that easily rolls backstage.
I was just going to ask if it just like rolls out.
It just rolls backstage so that they can fix it and roll it back onto the stage. So like they literally, like within the company, they call them Yeti meetings, because they basically never want to make that mistake again.
Did you ever ride it with the Yeti working?
I did, yeah. Yeah, because once again, I think within the first year of that attraction opening, I think I was at the park.
Wow.
And I remember once I rode it and the Yeti worked properly. And,
it's funny because I remember when I rode it like that, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, this is insane. And now every time I'm just like,
I remember going by it very quickly still, though, to be honest.
But he would swipe down at you. Yeah,
he would, but I don't know. I just remember like, whoa. And there was, I think even he started creating structural damage is what I understand, because he moved so much.
Yeah.
So
really?
Yeah, because there's just a lot of force behind that animatronic. And so they had to go to a Phase B Yeti. I may have seen a Phase B Yeti where there was still movement, but it wasn't as extreme.
Interesting.
So the Yeti is an issue. Everybody knows it. We're hoping now that Pandora's fixed, they can rip the top off. And, because now they have more e-ticket attractions. They can close down Expedition Everest for a while and do what they got to do. But anyway, back to the Beastly Kingdom. As I was doing research for this, I saw a piece of concept art, a golden griffin icon concept art.
Yeah.
And when I saw this, I immediately in my head went to Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. I was like, I have seen this before. And obviously this is not like, original artwork necessarily. It's based on a mythical creature, but it looked so familiar, this statue that they designed for Beastly Kingdom, because it became part of the Lost Continent at Disney's Islands of Adventure. Yeah.
A lot of Imagineers went to Universal as well.
Yeah. The story is that the Imagineers got really frustrated that Disney canned this project that they had worked on for a long time.
I saw various, people left and people were let go because of the project not going forward.
Yeah, I'm sure once they decided to not do the project, they were probably like, well, we don't need these people. That's how it works. Unfortunately, you get, Disney kind of gets a bad rap in the news all the time. They just had so many layoffs. I'm like, well, what were these people hired for? Oh, they were hired for this movie. They were hired for this project. That project's done. These people know they're going into temporary jobs. But in any case, Yeah, so a lot of those people ended up at Universal Creative, where they were working on Islands of Adventure.
Yeah.
And it was the only land in Islands of Adventure based on a non-IP. So you've got Marvel, you've got Toon Lagoon.
That's true.
Yeah, you got Toon Lagoon, which is all famous comic strips. You had Jurassic Park, you had The Lost Continent, and Seuss Landing.
Yeah.
So it's the only one not. So it kind of stuck out in that way. It was like, okay, this is the thing nobody really knows about.
Yeah.
I will say, to this day, I still love an attraction that exists there called Poseidon's Fury. Absolutely wonderful.
Oh, is it still called Poseidon's Fury?
Yeah, that Lost Continent still exists, even though Harry.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they it's like wedged.
Harry Potter kind of took over half of Lost Continent, and then the other half remains the Lost Continent.
Nice.
But there's a lot of similarities between, other than this concept art I saw.
Right.
There is some stuff that was uncannily similar.
Yeah.
And Michael Eisner noticed this on a trip to Universal Islands of Adventure.
I'm sure he was thrilled about that.
Yeah. Have you ever experienced it?
I've never been to Islands of Adventure.
Oh, well, they have a Dueling Dragons coaster that takes place inside of a dark. It's now part of Harry Potter, but originally it was just called Dueling Dragons, and it was part of.
Well, I noticed because I saw some of the ride footage, and there's a little bit, or is it? It might have been the queue, but you're in kind of like a decrepit castle.
Yeah, those queue.
Have they rethemed that to Harry Potter?
Yes, that is now. I forget. Is it like Dragons? Dragon Challenge, I think, maybe.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's been rethemed to Harry Potter. So as they used to have a unicorn roller coaster for Lost Continent, and then that became, what's the bird?
Flight of the Hippogriff.
Flight of the Hippogriff, thank you. So yeah, there were just similarities. And frankly, from what I understand, Islands of Adventure didn't do very well in its first year. That had problems with attendance, but Lost Continent was one of its least popular areas, so maybe Disney. I mean, now granted, I think Disney would have done it differently.
Right.
Much. Like, from what I understand, their Dragon Coaster was going to be like fully indoor type of thing.
Yeah.
The one at Universal is mostly outdoor, other than the queue area. So it's not fair to say, but at the same time, maybe Disney made the right choice. I hate to say that, but maybe they did. I don't know.
I think that throughout Eisner's tenure, he really kind of like pushed for more IP driven stuff. So I feel like that was borderline on the time period of like, well, this original park concepts aren't really.
Well, let's face it, Disney's Animal Kingdom was a huge leap in like the whole, very much like Epcot. There was obviously some IP there. But a lot of it is not. I mean, a lot of it is just animals, which of course almost all Disney movies are somewhat related to animals.
Yeah.
But it wasn't banged over your head IP stuff like we get these days. But anyway, that's basically the story of Beastly Kingdom, the land that never came to be at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Is there anything else you want to add about it before we move on?
Just part of another reason why they didn't really allocate the funds to that project is because the attendance dropped so much at the 3 other Walt Disney World parks. I mean, it was like 8 to 11%, like decrease it. So
they expected 4 to 5%, which is the norm when a new theme park opens.
One of the things, that they allocated more funds to were big e-ticket attractions in all the other parks. So I think it's a good and a bad thing, but we lost Beastly Kingdom, but we kind of saw money put back into the other 3 parks, which is great.
We got, I think, Rock and Roller Coaster because of it.
Mission Space,
and I don't know what the Magic Kingdom attraction would have been.
Well, it's interesting.
Maybe Mickey's PhilharMagic.
I think when we in the research there was like the Great Villains ride.
Yes, that was something that was supposed to happen over at Disney MGM, Disney's Hollywood Studios. They were supposed to have. I've heard they came up with several ideas of like spoofs of the Great Movie Ride. There's been talk about a Great Villains Ride. There was also talk, which I would have loved to see, the Great Muppet Movie Ride, where they were going to take classic movies like Frankenstein and do a Muppet version of it, or Wizard of Oz and do a Muppet version.
I still want that.
Yeah, that would have been great. There was supposed to be a whole Muppet area. That could be a whole other show. But yeah, I love that idea. It never happened. But yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. So, listen, good things about it, bad things about it. What do you guys think? Are you happy that we got Pandora instead? Or let me not just put it all on Pandora. Let's say with the more e-tickets we got. Do you really wish that Disney's Animal Kingdom had a Beastly Kingdom? Leave a comment below here on YouTube. Let us know what you think. But that's going to wrap it up for our Disney dialogue there. But we have to add on, because it's related to this, a trip report, because you recently came back from Pandora, the World of Avatar, did you not?
That's right, I did.
Okay, so let's go to that trip report now.
Travel along with us in today's Disney Trip Report.
So, Aaron, you're no longer blue. You're back.
I'm back.
And you visited Pandora, the World of Avatar.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to go the week before opening, so I kind of I got to experience it all with a very limited crowd. Yeah. I will say, I'll preface this by saying that I have very little interest in Avatar. In fact, before this trip, we watched Avatar to kind of like, all right, like we want to refamiliarize ourselves with this, and it's beautiful, great visual effects. The story is totally bland and like an hour and a half too long. But that being said, the land stands on its own. Like, its merits speak for itself. It is a totally immersive experience. I mean, down to the cast members. I've never been into...
Are you telling me there are Na'vi walking around?
There are no Na'vi. So that's all I could think was like, okay, like, check for Star Wars Land. Like, they're already saying like aliens and droids. But at the same time, you have research scientists who are what?
I'm just picturing an animatronic Na'vi at cash registers. Like,
oh my gosh.
I think that'd be great.
We will get to. I do have like some feelings about the Na'vi inclusion into the land, but there's research scientists who are able to go off script. I mean, I spoke to a gentleman for almost 10 minutes talking to me about the landscape. He specifically studied the floating mountains and the arches, and he went into this whole spiel about like, well, when the moon was forming and the planet was young, like it was.
Did you know those mountains were supposed to move?
No.
Yeah.
No way.
That was one of the things that was eventually taken off of the drawing board.
Oh my gosh.
Because they were like, okay, they were supposed to be on hinges and like, you know, sway back and forth.
Talk about a Yeti meeting. That's like, okay, if this breaks down, like the mountains could crush somebody. Like,
talk about a Yeti meeting.
That's insane.
Yeah, no, they were supposed to move initially.
Wow.
And that didn't happen, but... It's, from what I hear, still an impressive visual.
It's beautiful. I mean, and that's the other thing is, like I said, it's fully immersive. Even down to, we had cast members explaining that, oh, you know, like that plant that you saw when you walked in, and this plant and this plant, like they detoxify the air in the land, so that's how you can breathe here without. Because in the movies they have to wear rebreather masks.
Hey,
so
I'm glad that they explained that.
Exactly. It's continuity. It's beautiful, and even down, I was like pondering, like the.
Were you princess pondering?
I was princess pondering.
No, he wasn't.
I was pondering. There's like a drink station, and they have they have the fancy drinks with like boba. They have beer and like other refreshments. And I was like sitting there like looking around, and this guy, he's dressed like a hippie. So there's these hippie people who live there. They're expats apparently. And he just like started going off like, oh yeah, like my dad helped open this shop. He was part of the RDA and decided he didn't want to be a part of that anymore. And
is that his sole job? He's like a character essentially?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a number of like these, so there's like research scientists, these like expats who live there, and then of like regular cast members who work the different, like the attractions and the restaurants and stuff. And even them, they know a little bit of Na'vi, so they'll say words to you. And
do they have standard Disney cast member name badges?
Yes, just the cast members who work at the park.
Okay.
Probably because they're even down to like, the story is good enough that they can talk to you about like franchises and stuff. Because Amy was there and she started talking to somebody about Star Wars, and they're from Earth, so they know Star Wars. They're able to talk about it and not break character. But in some circumstances, because we were there for the media event, and I know some people had problems because they were just like, they wanted to ask just regular questions like, oh, like, how does this work? Like, and they would not break character. Yeah. So it was just like, yeah, I can't use any of that. Like, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So I wanted to talk about that because I know how much you appreciate continuity.
Absolutely. I do appreciate that. Now, did you experience it both in day and at night?
Yes.
And is the night as overwhelmingly better as the people say? I've heard it's really dark, like dangerously dark.
That was my first thought. Yeah. I was like, this seems kind of unsafe how dark it is.
I've heard of tripping hazards and such.
Especially if you're like there with young kids and they run off, you're going to be freaked out.
Okay.
Because
so within 6 months, it will be brighter.
I'm sure. And it's interesting because it's not like a typical land because they filled up a lot of the real estate with like kind of like meandering walking trails, and
it looks small.
It's pretty
like how many acres is it?
It's 12 acres.
Okay, that scares me because that's 12 acres and looks small. Star Wars is going to be 14 acres, and from what I can tell, looks massive.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh no, like, is most of it show building?
I think that one of the biggest differences is that Star Wars is going to be a port. It's a spaceport, so there's kind of this more. There's more of a focus on shops and like little alleyways, and there's more of like a city structure. Pandora is much more of like it's wildlife. Like you've done the walking trails at Animal Kingdom,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
It's much more of this like, oh, like enjoy the scenery, and here's like there's like little places like little bridges and stuff you can walk up and like admire the mountains. So there's a lot of like crisscrossing paths, and they filled up a lot of the real estate with that.
Sure.
There's also there's one main food
Is it
place.
the cheese? Oh, I thought you were going to talk about
The Cheesecake
Factory. No, the cheesecake, the blue cheesecake thing that I keep seeing.
Yeah, the Sati Canteen, or I'm gonna get the names wrong. I felt really awkward every time the cast members would be like blah blah blah. I would be like, yeah.
This is how normal people will feel at Star Wars Land when you're like riffing with all of this.
Yeah. Well, luckily, like in Star Wars, everybody speaks basic, or most people speak basic, so it's like you can speak English. It's cool.
I'm just gonna go talk to cast members at Star Wars Land, and, and like see if they
translate.
Can translate. Yeah, exactly. But they're like, get out of here, please.
So, the canteen was very nice. It's a little bit of like repurposed RDA stuff and ACE, which is the Alpha Centauri expeditions. And I don't want because you can look this up, but basically the theme is like this tourist company has kind of come in and implemented.
I like this story.
Yeah.
Like, I like the fact that it takes place 20 years after the last movie, which won't be out for years.
Come out, yeah.
But I like that. I think that was smart. They're making smart choices when it comes to the thing that bothers me most is continuity.
Right.
They're making smart choices. They did it with Star Wars Land as well, making it a planet that none of us have seen in the films.
Right.
That's smart. This is smart because it's 20 years later. Plus, they're explaining things like this is why you can breathe here now, and we have this tourist group coming in, which is why there's all this tourism stuff here.
Yeah.
I think that that's great. I think that that's really, really great. That makes me very happy.
Yeah.
Now, there are the big attractions. By the way, we're going to be talking even more about this on the show because Patrick is at Pandora as we speak. So when he gets back, we're going to get even more in depth with the rides and everything.
Yeah. But I have to.
Yeah, please.
The nighttime.
Oh yeah, you mentioned it sounded underwhelming.
It's a lot of blacklight paint.
Okay, well, okay, that's what I would expect.
But I mean, it's like I expected a lot more internally lit things.
I expected
a lot more of like, whoa, how did they do that? I spent a lot of the time being like, yeah, they splattered that with blacklight paint. Like, Nice.
But how visible are the black lights? Are they hidden well?
You can tell. I mean, and just the fact that you are literally glowing. It's like going to a rave. Like you see people with like their teeth glowing.
What about? Oh, okay. Oh, that is weird. So it's like being inside of a dark ride.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
How about the footprint stuff? Was that finished? I know they had some issues with that, where like your footprints made.
Oh, I didn't.
Bioluminescent.
See that at all.
Okay,
Yeah.
they're like it's supposed to make bioluminescent trails of your feet in certain areas.
Oh. Maybe I just didn't
I had heard
go
it
through
wasn't
those areas.
ready.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
okay.
like one of the last things to get finished.
Cool.
So maybe you didn't experience that, but
Sounds neat.
But yeah, I've heard great things about the nighttime stuff. So you're one of the first people that were a bit underwhelmed. I mean, I heard people freaking out about it, and I was like, I mean, it's just gonna be lit.
It looks really cool. It looks really cool.
Do you prefer day or night?
I like day better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How did those? That'd be cool if the waterfalls, like if they had glow in the dark liquid in them,
Yeah.
so that they lit up at night. That'd
Yeah.
be really interesting.
I know.
But well, cool. That sounds cool.
Yeah. But other than, I mean, look, the theme of the land is this conservation and preservation of the land. So the majority of the outside part of the land is focused on the wildlife and the flora and fauna.
Does it fit in Disney's Animal Kingdom?
I think so. I think it's a good fit.
Would it? Let's pretend Star Wars Land isn't going to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Would you have preferred it at Disney's Hollywood Studios?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a movie. It's a movie property, and not only is it a movie property, it's a movie property that Disney doesn't own. So,
would you have preferred Beastly Kingdom?
So here's where I'll go into the attractions, because one of the best things about the fact that they had to wait so long is the technology on the attractions is great. And I don't know, I mean, it sounds like Beastly Kingdom, if they had opened it, it would have opened probably 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know if if everything would have held up. Mm-hmm. I will say it's got two very similar rides to what they were planning for Beastly Kingdom. It's got an e-ticket boat ride through a
So like the Fantasia,
like the
one.
Fantasia mythic, like through the Pandora jungle.
Is there any continuity in that story as to why that's night and then you exit the attraction?
I think so.
No,
I mean,
what about?
Luckily, I mean, you go through like a cave, so it's kind of like, oh, you're dark. I will say it's interesting too, because this is like it immediately like exits back into the land. So if it is daytime, it can be a little bit jarring.
That's disappointing.
It's beautiful. It's a typical dark ride.
With the greatest animatronic on Earth.
Lovely to look at. Yeah, with an excellent animatronic.
With a Yeti system in case it breaks.
There's a lot of screens.
Is it a lot? I noticed in the video, I'm like, okay, there's definitely screens here. But I've heard they've actually done things where, like, not only are there prop pieces and set pieces in front of the screens, but also behind.
Right.
So there's like nice depth.
It's like like in the Forbidden Journey queue, where there's that kind of like hologram technology where you can see through, but there's like a projected person.
Okay.
But in this case, it's like projected creatures that like run through and look at you and then run away. The thing that blew me away the most, besides the animatronic, is at one point there's like these big leaves that are above you. And the leaves
I love those.
The leaves are kind of like bouncing, so you take notice of them, and there's like little like lizards like running around. You can just
projection of lizard. But the motion
like moves
in sync with the projection.
Yeah, that was the coolest thing to me.
That's a nice detail.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And so that's the kind of thing that I was really into. Other than that, it's got very little. I mean, unless you really want to go see that animatronic over and over again,
dude, that's what I would want. Yes, that's my favorite thing about Pandora: The World of Avatar. Like, I love just seeing video of it. Excites me. I probably watched that video dozens of times.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, I'm beyond impressed at the fluidity and its face. I love it, and I love the stupid song it sings. I love it.
Yeah. So personally, it was not one that I would jump back on.
Okay.
Especially considering how good Flight of Passage is.
Okay, how great is Flight of Passage?
Flight of Passage
How scary? Okay,
is the
I find this
greatest.
so hard to believe.
It is. The thing is that it is not. The best part of the technology is how seamless the ride vehicle is synced to the film.
How trapped do you feel in the ride vehicle? Because I'm honestly having panic attacks.
No. It's
really
yeah. It's actually a little bit exciting when the little like vibrating strip like goes over your tailbone. It's like
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. I don't like being locked down, and I hear they lock your legs in, and I'm like,
It's
"Ah!"
very the leg locks are like very mild.
Okay.
Like they don't like lock you in. It's just kind of like and I'm not even sure why the leg locks exist because it's not like
Maybe
the way
just so you don't stand.
like the way that you're like pulled
Because people
into
would
it
try to
is-
stand and look over the edge. that's why.
maybe yeah that would make sense. But the storytelling is like amazing as far as you're walking through Na'vi caves and you see kind of like cave paintings that like explain the Flight of Passage and this rite of passage of riding the Banshee. And then at one point there's like a huge hole that's been drilled into the wall and you're in a facility. You're in I think it's PSI or there's another organization on the planet that's the Pandora Research Institute.
Cool.
PRI, maybe that's what it is. Anyways, then you're like going through their research facility. That's where the
floating animatronic.
the big animatronic like centerpieces but even then you're like walking through the lab and there's a lot of like experiments going on. Even once you get into the chamber. I mean, there's a long pre-show as far as like,
Yes.
we're detoxing you, like we're matching you to your.
Put your hands up. We want to make sure you can get inside.
We gotta scan your.
Yeah, right.
It's just really well. I'm not sure what the purpose. I know it has to serve some kind of purpose as far as like mediating. Like the crowd.
Oh, it's a timing thing, yeah.
Yeah, but just it's a really interesting. It's really cool to go through that, and then once you're in the attraction, I mean, they do this great job of like amping you up. Like once you're on the ride vehicle, as far as like you're being matched. Like you feel like the vibrating strip. It's like you're amping yourself up. There's a little camera in there that shows your face. That's like, and then like a avatar's face, so it's like, oh, we're matching you to your avatar, and then like they have these lights that flash, and it's kind of like it's supposed to like symbolize like, oh, you're connecting now, and then the screen shows up, and it's like you've seen the inside of the like the attraction,
Yeah,
right?
the big screen.
I decided I was going to let myself like be taken into this experience.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of it.
I was immediately blown away because I was like, this is a screen, right? Like this isn't right in front of my face.
Oh, but
is
it's
it?
3D, right? You got 3D
It's
glasses.
3D, yeah.
Okay.
But it was it's not like Soarin' where you get, if you're like off to the side or something, you get a distorted view. It's like you are there, like the Banshee is breathing beneath you. You can feel like it expanding and contracting. It is the best use of technology as far as like effects. Like there's water spray, smells, but it's so subtle that it really engages your senses, and you're never thinking like, oh, oranges, like Soarin'. It's like, wow, I'm floating past a waterfall and like I can feel the spray on my face and I can smell like the outdoor sensation.
I think the best thing about this attraction from what I'm hearing is to really experience it, you have to experience it.
Yeah.
Like this is something that no video is going, because I gotta be
Yeah.
honest, like from what I've seen and heard, I'm underwhelmed because I'm just like, okay, it's Soarin' on a motorcycle. But apparently, based on everybody I've spoken to, it's so much more.
It's a sensation.
Yeah.
And I've never, the sync of the ride vehicle to the video is, I've never ridden something before where, I've never been on a motion ride before where I was so like, okay, like this is as close to real as you're going to get on an attraction.
Well, that's awesome. That is a ton of news about Pandora, the World of Underwater. Before we go, actually, I got to mention, what's with the merchandise of mating tails being sold?
Okay,
I mean, that's the whole point of their tales, right?
Brief aside, we are supposed to be super reverent, or I'm not going to get this word right.
Okay, well, what do you...
Reverent. We're supposed to be super reverent of the Na'vi. Like, they're allowing us into their land. They're allowing us to ride their banshees. Can I just say that the least reverent thing you can do is get your face painted up like a Na'vi, wear their ears, wear their tail. Like, that has got to be like, because I saw a lot of people doing this and I felt like these are fictional aliens, and I felt uncomfortable about the fact that, like, I was like,
racism in Pandora.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, you are just like totally trashing their culture, and
well, we got mating tales out of it, so we can enjoy that.
Yeah, there's that.
Well, that's Pandora, the world of Avatar. I'm very happy for you that you got to experience it. I'm hoping to experience it myself later this year. As I mentioned, Patrick will be experiencing it, and we will be talking about it with him on the show. So more details of Pandora to come here on Disney Coast to Coast.
That's right.
But I think that means it's trivia time! Hey folks, and welcome to Trivia Time with Banks from AttractionsMagazine.com. Hello, Banks.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. We're here today to talk about Peter Pan. Peter Pan is the subject matter of today's trivia time. So do you want to hit me first with a question, or shall I hit you?
You go first this time.
Okay, let's see. For Peter Pan, I'm just curious, do you have any idea, we're talking the animated film here, do you have any idea what film came before it, which animated film came before it, and which one came after it, and the years of the three of them?
Okay. Now you gotta put me on the spot here. Okay, so I think, yeah. If I'm not mistaken, Peter Pan was 53, correct?
That is very correct. Yep, Peter Pan, 1953. I
always remember that because my mom was born in June of 53, and she would always say that she and Tinkerbell shared the same birth year. So, yeah, I always remember that. Sleeping Beauty came after it, correct?
Well, it was not the next one.
It was not the next one. Okay. I am so horrible at the dates of the movies. I feel like a horrible fan now.
Please don't. It's minutia.
Oh my god.
It's a film that came out the same year that Disneyland opened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 55 was the next one. It wasn't Sleeping Beauty.
Nope.
It was Cinderella?
Nope.
No.
It's a smaller one. Think of dogs.
Oliver? No, wait, no.
No,
that's way later. Dogs.
Think of Marceline.
101 Dalmatians.
No, think of Marceline, Missouri. Not that it takes place in Marceline, but it was definitely inspired by Marceline.
I'm stumped.
Okay, it's Lady and the Tramp.
Lady and the Tramp? Oh my god.
Yeah, Lady and the Tramp, 1955, came after Peter Pan. And then there was one a few years before Peter Pan.
Let's see. Pinocchio was there way earlier, so was Fantasia.
This one has a couple of rides in Fantasyland at Disneyland.
Okay. Oh, a couple of rides, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so then it's Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Is it that? No.
Has two rides in Fantasyland at Disneyland.
At Disneyland. Okay, so
No?
No. Oh my
Okay.
god. Oh, wait.
All right.
Oh, now I know. Nope. Alice in Wonderland.
There you go. Alice in Wonderland.
There it is.
Which was 1951. The two rides I'm talking about, of course, is the teacups as well as the dark ride.
I was going through. I was like, wait, no, not Pinocchio. No, I was like going through all the. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Alice.
So Alice in Wonderland, 1951. Peter Pan, 1953. Followed by Lady and the Tramp in 1955. So
all right.
That's a tough one. Hey, I gave you a tough one. So
yeah.
So hit me back with a tough one. Let's hear it.
This may not be as tough, but actually has something to do with Alice in Wonderland.
Okay.
The actress that plays Wendy in Peter Pan.
Okay.
She has voiced one other Disney character what other character is that, and what is the actress's name?
Okay, I have no clue what the actress's name is. But, I mean, you said it has something to do with Alice in Wonderland. Is it Alice?
Mm-hmm.
Wendy and Alice.
Wendy and Alice are the same voice actress.
No kidding.
Yep. If you kind of go back and listen for it, you can kind of hear it.
Yeah. Who is it with the villains? There's Lady Tremaine, and is it Lady Tremaine and Maleficent? I
think so. It's definitely of the more classic villains that same actresses shared. And I think you're right about Tremaine and Maleficent being the same.
So what is is it Margaret something?
No, that's actually Margaret.
Tinkerbell?
You're probably thinking of Tinkerbell. The inspiration for Tinkerbell, Margaret Carey. Mm-hmm. Her name is Catherine Beaumont.
Okay, sounds vaguely familiar.
We had her on Attractions Magazine, the show, a few years ago when they were promoting the Blu-ray release of Peter Pan, and so that's kind of where I got to know her and found out that she also did Alice as well. So that was kind of a cool little. Oh, that's neat to know.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show for some trivia time. Of course, you can always find Banks' work over at attractionsmagazine.com. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you later.
All right, I got to get to work. I'm memorizing some years here.
Okay, folks, hope you enjoyed that trivia time and this fun-filled episode of Disney Coast to Coast. That was a lot of information.
Yeah, but I'm sorry if we went too long for you guys.
Hey, it's fine. It's our show. We can make it as long as we want. They can shut it off whenever they want to. So if you've made it this far, congratulations and thank you. Yeah. But I do want to mention, you guys have been asking for it, so they're finally here. Official Disney Coast to Coast t-shirts that you can go to DisneyCoastToCoast.com yourself and order. They are there for a very limited time. So if you want one, go grab it. We'll get it to you before the D23 Expo. So hopefully we can see you wearing them at the D23 Expo.
That's coming up.
Sporting your DCTC shirts. So go to DisneyCoastToCoast.com for that. Other than that, I think that's it, right?
That's it.
Okay, have a magical week, everybody. Bye.
Thanks for watching Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.